Renault reckons that this Megane E-TECH plug-in PHEV model offers an ideal compromise between the future requirement for eco-minded electrification and the current need for everyday common sense. There's a 30-mile electric driving range, a choice of body styles, 5-door hatch or this sports tourer estate, and pricing that undercuts a number of key plug-in segment rivals. So, this contender ought to be worth a second look. Different brands have different perceptions of the right way forward when it comes to electrifying family hatchbacks and compact estates or SUVs. In this case, we have Renault championing plug-in hybrid tech with the Megane. Some other brands, though, prefer a full EV solution for this class of car, and others still think that it's better to retain a conventional engine but to lightly embellish it with mild hybrid technology. If you're out to buy a more eco-conscious car in this segment, then you would be forgiven for being a bit confused. Still, Renault's solution with the Megane E-TECH PHEV is at least easy to get your head around. A plug-in setup offering up to 30 miles of WLTP all-electric range, quite enough to cover most people's daily commute. A 1.6-litre petrol engine to smoothly cut in when the range is exhausted, and a price tag that's much more affordable than that of the car that has hitherto emphasised the plug-in family hatch, Volkswagen's Golf GTE. This electrified Megane's E-TECH plug-in hybrid 160 horsepower petrol power plant is an interesting piece of engineering, but how easy will it be to get the most of it out on the road? Well, let's check it out. This sees a 1.6-litre petrol engine mated to two electric motors powered by a 9.8 kilowatt-hour 400-volt battery. This package generates 394 newton-meters of torque and allows for a range of about 30 miles, plus the ability to travel at up to 84 miles an hour on electric power alone. It's quite an intriguing package. It's shared with the brand's Capture Small SUV, and as with that car, you always pull away silently using all-electric power, and beyond that, you control everything with a revised multi-sense driving mode system that features three basic settings. The two extremes are Pure, which engages all-electric drive and can be locked in with a fascia EV button, and Sport, which is engine only and which you'll have to engage to replicate the claimed performance figures, 62 in 9.8 seconds on the way to 111 miles an hour. Most of the time, though, your choice will be My Sense, which is a hybrid setting engineered to use both power sources most efficiently. This plug-in hybrid Megane's gearbox is an auto, of course, but of the more unusual dog box clutchless variety, and it offers an extra B mode which maximises regenerative braking to the point where you'll hardly ever have to use the actual brake pedal. Whatever your chosen transmission setting, nearly all the time when you're either off throttle or slowing the car down, restorative energy is being fed back into the battery. Much of it is then used to aid acceleration, but if you want to save all of it for battery-only town travel when you'll most need it, then a further e-save setting is available to allow for that. Inevitably, all of this clever tech carries quite a weight penalty, nearly 400 kilos, which has an effect on both ride quality and cornering body control. But unless you go throwing the car about, you'll probably be quite happy at the dynamic balance that Renault has achieved here. The E-TECH plug-in version of this car comes in hatch and sport tourer estate guises, but visual changes over the standard model are limited to a few E-TECH badges. This model does, of course, feature all the visual updates visited on the revised version of this fourth generation Megane. The bumpers, the lower grille and the front corner cutouts have all been redesigned, and the headlights now are of the Renault LED Pure Vision type, with beams increased in range by nearly 30%. Inside, changes over the ordinary Megane are fairly minimal. There's an EV button amongst the piano-style keys. Below this central EasyLink infotainment screen, this will be either 7 or 9.3 inches in size, depending on the trim level you choose. This monitor has various EV-specific menus, including a useful energy infographic that shows at any given time what's being powered by what. The instrument binnacle display, either 7 inches or 10.2 inches in size, depending on trim, is EV specific too. Most of the E-TECH features are showcased in the right-hand virtual dial. As well as a lower charge meter, this features an outer rim showing blue regenerative, green charge and white power zones, and it has a central area showing a triangulation of battery, e-motor and engine to depict in real time the hyperactive hybrid system's flow of energy. Glance down at the E-shifter auto gear stick and you might notice its extra regenerative braking option, B. Otherwise things are just as they would be in any other Megane, which means you get quite a premium ambiance thanks to smart trim and upholstery, which is RS line themed in this top model. And you'll like little extra touches like 8-colour ambient lighting and this rimless electrochrome rear view mirror. TomTom navigation is standard, as is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone integration. And nice touches include the fact that, unlike a lot of other cars in this class, front seat lumbar support comes as standard too. You'll also like the way that this lovely door trim mounted lighting strip changes whenever you change the cabin ambient lighting shade. Time to take a seat in the back. Now, despite this 4th generation Megane's relatively lengthy wheelbase and the fact that it's one of the widest cars in the class, accommodation here is quite tight, despite Renault's insistence that there's more shoulder room here than most rivals can offer. Unless the passengers ahead of you are quite short, you won't find very much space for your knees and legs. Finally, let's take a look in the boot. Lift the tailgate, you'll find the opening's good square shape, but this high sill will make it a bit awkward to get heavier items in. Inside, the space that you get falls by 116 litres over what you get in a conventionally engined TCE 140 petrol model, which means that in this E-TECH Sports Tourer estate, we've got 447 litres to play with. There's no space for anything much under the floor, only really room for the charging cables and the tyre repair kit. Use these cargo sidewall catches to drop the 60-40 split rear bench, and that increases to 1,408 litres of total capacity. For reference, that's a significant 219 litres more than you get if you ordered this PHEV drivetrain with Renault's slightly pricier Capture small SUV. Stick with base iconic spec and you also get a fold flat front passenger seat. When that's pushed forward, you'll get the longest load area in the segment, around 2.8 metres. Megane pricing starts from well under £22,000 with a conventional engine, but you will need a budget starting from around £30,000 to get this E-TECH plug-in model, and it's available in either hatch or sport tourer estate form and offered with iconic or RS line trim levels. As usual with fully electrified models, it comes only as an automatic. Think in terms of needing around £1,500 more if you want this sport tourer estate body style rather than the standard 5-door hatch. You've really got to want the PHEV tech here though. Think in terms of a £4,500 premium over the equivalent conventional diesel auto or a £6,500 premium over the equivalent petrol auto variant. At least the required £30,000 price point offers reasonable value in this car's market segment. That's the kind of fee required for cars like the various Kia PHEV offerings, plug-in versions of the Niro, the Exceed and the Ceed Sportswagen. And this figure undercuts by around £2,500 PHEV versions of the Seat Leon and the Skoda Octavia. You would spend more on a PHEV Peugeot 308, and a Volkswagen Golf GTE plug-in model is around £6,000 more, and that sells in the kind of premium £35,000 to £40,000 bracket that'll get you premium badged plug-in cars of this kind, like PHEV versions of the Mercedes A-Class, the Audi A3 Sportback and the DS4. In terms of equipment, it's worth finding the extra couple of thousand that Renault wants to upgrade you from base iconic trim to this much nicer RS line level of spec, as well as these larger 17-inch wheels and sportier bumpers. That premium gets you a screen upgrade inside. The base variant's 7-inch screens for the centre stack and the instrument binnacle are enlarged respectively to 9.3 inches and 10.2 inches. In addition, this sportier derivative has lots of nice RS line themed trimming touches for areas like the dash, the doors, the gear stick and the sport seats. All Megane models these days get full LED headlamps with C-shaped LED daytime running lights, plus navigation, all-round parking sensors, climate-controlled air conditioning and power folding mirrors. And that's along with the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay smartphone integration. Safety-wise, it's disappointing to find that autonomous braking, Renault's AEBS, automatic emergency braking system, is only standard with plusher RS line trim. But as well as the usual passive safety features, all models do get the brand's Visio Pack, which gives you lane departure warning, traffic sign recognition and automatic high-low beam headlights. Optional packs can add in things like the emergency e-call setup, lane keeping assistance, rear cross-traffic alert and adaptive cruise control with a traffic jam companion feature that uses lane centering and stop and go tech to virtually drive the car for you in urban motoring. We've already mentioned the 30-mile WLTP-rated all-electric driving range on this model. That rises to around 40 miles on the urban cycle. You can select an additional B mode via the auto gear stick to increase regenerative braking energy harvesting. Like all PHEVs, this one can offer three-figure combined cycle economy up to 217.3 mpg and a super low CO2 emissions figure of up to 30 grams per kilometre. You'll need some class perspective on that. The Mini Countryman PHEV manages up to 156.9 mpg and up to 39 grams per kilometre and a driving range of up to 31.7 miles. And the three main Kia alternatives, the PHEV versions of the Nero, the Ceed Sportswagen and the Exceed crossover, all manage up to 201.8 mpg, up to 31 grams per kilometre and a driving range of up to 36 miles. All those models, including this Renault, have CO2 figures that are green enough to qualify for a super low 10% benefit in kind taxation rating and free first-year road tax. Of course, official figures are one thing, actual day-to-day returns are another. And mindful of this, Renault's provided a variety of e-driving tools to enable Megane E-TECH hybrid drivers to get as close as possible to the stated readings. As you drive, you'll have to keep a close eye on the right-hand instrument screen dial, keeping the needle as often as possible in the charge rather than in the power section. You'll also want to make frequent use of the provided pure and EV electric only driving modes, and you'll also need to remember to often switch the auto gear lever to its B position so you can maximise regenerative brake energy harvesting and so preserve your battery charge. Regular activation of these tools, says Renault, will boost the urban all-electric driving range of this car up towards 40 miles. Charging time via a Type 2 Mode 3 cable is 3 hours or 4 hours and 15 minutes from a domestic socket. If you get on top of all that, you'll want to keep an eye on how efficiently the powertrain is working, and there are display options which enable you to do that on both of the provided TFT monitors. The right-hand virtual dial in the instrument binnacle here has a central area that shows a triangulation of battery, e-motor and engine to depict in real time the hybrid system's flow of energy, but it's the central EasyLink screen that'll be your main point of reference for your EV feedback. Consult the car info section and you'll find an energy info icon, and that takes you to a history graph divided into 15, 10 and 5-minute sections, plus a live graphic so you can see in real time what's happening. There's also a list screen that gives you more useful EV readouts, one for average electric consumption and another for total recuperated energy. The E-TECH system's two electric motors are key to its efficiency. The first handles energy harvesting during braking and deceleration. The second serves as a starter to get the combustion-powered engine running, and it also supports Renault's innovative transmission system, which was developed from the brand's F1 racing experience. With no clutch, it handles the distribution of torque from different motors to the front wheels, and it optimises energy output when you're changing gears. As for the warranty, well, that's good for up to 4 years or 100,000 miles. Years 1 and 2 are unlimited mileage. The PHEV system's battery has a separate 8-year, 100,000 mile warranty. Over the last decade, Renault spent an awful lot of time and money offering the market electrified cars it wasn't quite ready for. The Twizy and the Fluence ZE spring to mind. And even the Zoe is only just starting to find some sort of sales traction, even though that was launched back in 2012. But these were full EVs. You can't help thinking that the French brand would have done much better to start us all off with a product like this, the Megane E-TECH plug-in. There's no range anxiety, no curious styling, no confusing battery lease sums to grapple with, just most of the advantages that you'll want from electrified technology with few of the drawbacks that you don't. It's not all rosy, of course. There's quite a price premium to pay over a conventional petrol or diesel engine Megane, and there'll be a few small practicality compromises to make too. But if you can cope with all of that, then this really is a family hatch for the thinking buyer. A slice of French sense at last from Renault.